to the Woodwork podcast. I am Josh from Josh Taylor Construction.
And I'm Paul, JCR Builds in the UK.
We are broadcasting live from opposite sides of the globe. You will get no lies, no bullshit. You only get the truth around here. Guys, it's really important if you can leave us a 5-star review on Amazon and Spotify, leave a comment. We'll be very grateful. If you've got any questions, please get in contact with us on any social media platform. And today we have a guest on, Ashley Nicole. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. So, for the people that don't know who you are, could you just give us a quick, background about who you are, where you're from?
So, I'm Ashley Turner. My socials are Ashley Nicole Woodwork. I have a background in joinery and antique restoration, and then I appeared on Series 2 of Handmaid's Britain's Best Woodworker. It's not my day job, but it used to be. And that's me.
So, yeah, the Britain's Best Woodworking show. That was,
Nice.
I mean, I've watched it all. Because it's just one of those things. We don't get very much woodworking programs on the TV,
No.
so I always will watch it. How did you find that experience? Because obviously it's a bit of a different sort of thing with the film crews about and everything.
I mean, it was a really crazy experience, and on the whole, positive. For me, the one thing I take from it, I wasn't doing any woodwork before the show. Like, I stopped, I was like, right, I need to get myself together, get a house, get a mortgage, not be self-employed anymore, have my children. And there was always like, oh, I'll get back into it. But then how do you get back into it? So it was a massive kick up the arse for me. And then once I had it back in my life, I was like, oh, I was really missing that. But I didn't know I was missing it. So on the whole, it got me back into something a lot quicker, a very extreme way, a very mental, crazy way. But yeah, it was nuts. Also, I'd started the process of I'm going to be on the show, as getting everything ready. And then I was told that I was going to be like a COVID backup. And at the time, very helpful. At the time, anyone with young children will appreciate, I was up every single night with my little one. So I was having no sleep, got a day job, looking after the children. And then I was like, right, you're not going to be on the show. So kind of like, put it on the back burner, a bit disappointed. And then didn't really carry on putting effort into like cutting lists, designs, drawings. And, anytime you make something, there's a massive chunk of time that just goes through thinking, how am I going to make that? Also, I'm used to working in a workshop with a tenon, a four-sided planer, and it didn't have quite that set up. So then you've got to think about how to make stuff with a router. How am I going to make a multi-tenon joint with a router? So it's a longer way of making things. So I was thrown into the show with no notice, no drawings, no cutting lists, no thought through designs. So it was a bit of a nightmare for me. It's not how I would have liked to have done the process. I'm not very proud of some of the things I made, but in the circumstance, that's what it was.
I mean, the thing is as well, though, it's not as if you're given like 2 weeks to make, say, I can't remember what you made in your different ones you made in your series, but say you were making one. Did you do the chairs in your series?
Yeah, I did. We did a rocking chair. I missed the table. There was a dining table, desk, daybed, clock, and the ones I can remember.
I'll say
toy.
What to say? And take the rocking chair for example. What were you given 2 days? Was it 2 days you were given to make said item?
So we actually film over 3 days, and the actual time we're allowed to make is 18 hours. But on the back of that, what you don't see is Mel has to come around and interview everyone. So you have to stop what you're doing. You can't make noise for the cameras. So yes, it might be 18 hours, but it's not, because you're having to stop. And then when you're in a workshop with like 10 other people, you're queuing for a machine, you're waiting to get on. So So it is 18 hours, but in like a bizarre, extreme circumstance that you would never replicate and that you would never put yourself through out of choice.
Well, then 19 hours to make, say, said rocking chair, it's not actually that easy because, I mean, you've got all the joinery to do. As you say, I mean, it might be different for if you're used to it a certain way, then all of a sudden you sold, oh, use the domino. If you're not used to using the domino, I mean, I use it on a daily basis, so it's fine for me. But you're having to pick up almost new techniques. And if there's only 2 dominoes between 10 of you, and you all want the domino, you're a bit sort of stuck, aren't you?
I think, like, depending on what you do as a day job, so like Russell, he fits kitchens, so he's massively talented at problem solving, where you've got to get something in place, so you've got to come up with a solution. So you're really good at using kind of those electric hand tools. I hadn't touched a router since 2013.
Oh,
And suddenly, so I'd had like a massive gap, and then I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I know there's a way you're supposed to do that. So it was just like try and remember something that I hadn't done for a decade. Like those skills are there, but they're buried and they're covered in rust. And then I've got a massive respect for doing things safely because I've been trained and I've been around accidents, and it's just like, yeah. Also, on the back of filming, you're really, really tired. The really long days. So, would I ever work absolutely knackered, slightly hungover,
Slightly, you've been steamed.
with something that I respect is really, really dangerous. So there was one day I just left early. I said I'm not willing to lose a finger. I'm off because I got there like overnight. I got there in the middle of the night, and then in the morning I was on set. It was just an absolute nightmare.
Whoa. Did you have to commute to set? How far was the commute for you then?
So it was like a country estate. So it was lovely. It was really idealistic. So we were like camping, and then we'd walk through the woods. Like we had to be on set for 7:30. And you don't want to do it like shit on camera. So it was like early wake up, shower, makeup, hair, all ourselves. Like no, there was. I was thinking, there'll be someone to like touch it. Absolutely nothing. No one.
Whoa.
Like no frills. Not that you guys are worried about it, but I was. And then on set, ready to film for 7:30 in the morning, and then finish maybe 8 o'clock. Maybe 9. A long day of concentration.
So you stayed near the event. You didn't drive from your home to the event.
No. I mean, we were. No, because it was in the middle of Wales. In my head, I was thinking, my husband could bring the kids down, and on my day off, I could like go and meet them. No, like I didn't see my husband or my children for a month.
Oh, really?
Because it was a COVID bubble.
Yeah.
I just took it for what it was. I was like, I'm never going to have such a unique opportunity to have a rest. So I just like went back to my student days, and I had an absolute blast. For me, a massive part of it was the social side, because I was landed there completely unprepared. I just had to be like, oh, well, I might not be here next week, but I'm going to have a great time while I'm here.
Yeah, that's a good
how many
way
weeks?
to go
So
about
you
it.
said so it was over 4 or 5 weeks, was it, the whole process?
I think the people, obviously, because I was thrown in, the people who were there from the very start and to the final were probably there for 6 weeks.
Ooh,
so did you watch? So it wasn't a challenge per week. I know on TV, everything's aired like on a weekly basis, way after you've done it. But so did you do like a challenge, have a day off, and do another challenge within a week? Then did you that thing or? So what you saw in an episode was filmed over 3 days.
Yeah. So you'd have day one, you'd have to film like Mel telling you what it was, and then so day one you got the biggest chunk done, but day one also ended in tears. Like every day one, I was crying because you're just tired. If you were out of that situation, you wouldn't be emotional about it. So you're really tired, and then you think, holy shit, what have I got to achieve tomorrow? Like a mammoth amount. Day 2, you only have a morning because you spend a whole afternoon filming the challenge.
Was that the little extra task you did to like win immunity, wasn't it? You could do.
Yeah, which is like 10 minutes of telly, but in reality is 5 hours of filming. And then day 3, you only have the morning to work, and the whole afternoon is judging and filming. Because at the beginning, when there's that many of you, you just have to sit there and while everyone has their critique and it goes round. So it was just like a lot of waiting around. But once you did an episode or 2, you got into the rhythm of it. And then day 4, you had a day off. Day off is like a really loose term of the word, because you literally just spent it. Well, I did, because I was so far behind. Like, I used to have to spend those days off doing a cutting list, like I had to be an episode ahead to give them my cutting list to get it ready. So I didn't really get like a free day off where I got to just completely mentally walk away from it, because I was so far behind in my preparation.
I mean, that's just like any workshop, really. we never got any. We all like to say we're organised, but we never actually are. So, what? Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
Can you explain to me the COVID guest?
COVID bubble.
The COVID guest that you was like a COVID drop fill-in or something, did you say?
So in the interview process, I think that, I can't remember, they'd had like X amount of people apply, and then they only only did Zooms with, say, like, I think it was like 700 or something. So then they got us down to 20, and then I think we got down to even less. So it goes to the channel. The channel are the ones that pick you. And then I got a phone call, honestly, the way people deliver news. Really good news, mate. You're one of the backups. And I was like, okay, yeah, not such great news. Doesn't feel like great news to me. And then just, it was more, someone thinks they might not come, so then we'll have you in. So just even before I got there, the like up and downs of, like, I had to, in that process, I had to go and tell my boss, right, I could need a month off, and then go, oh, by the way, I might just be here next week. So it was quite hard on me, like, and then when I got the phone call out of the blue to say, someone's coming out of the show, will you get here? And I was like, right, you're like 4 hours away. It's 6 o'clock in the evening. I was like, I don't even have any clothes. Like, it just been bank holiday. Like, I literally hadn't done the washing. Something as simple as that. Like, I didn't even have clean clothes, and I hadn't been able to like mentally prepare my older child, so I could be like, oh, by the way, I'm not going to be here when you wake up in the morning. That was horrible, because they just woke up and I wasn't there.
Oh, it was like last minute.
Literally, the person that came out gave the final decision in like the evening that they were coming out of the show. I think I got a phone call at 5 o'clock, and they said, oh, someone might be coming out, we might need you. I said, well, you need to tell me in the next hour, and then I ended up getting to Wales about 1 a.m. And then had to wake up about 5 a.m. to do like a really, like, not just a normal COVID test, like a bigger COVID test. So I'd had like a few hours sleep, and then was on the tools that I hadn't used for a decade.
I mean, that's it as well, because it's a sort of, you just say it's sort of like an opportunity of a life experience type thing. You're not going to turn around to them and say, well, actually, no, I can't get there until 2 days time. Because I'll just turn around and say, piss off, we'll get the next person down the list, won't they? So it's a case of you come now or you don't get the chance.
It was a bit of a nightmare, because you build yourself really up for something, like it's an amazing opportunity, and then it, like, in the 2 weeks it got like took away from me about 3 or 4 times, and I just laughed. I said, you've got to be joking. So that's I try and, this is my excuse. People will judge you on what you've made, but I know I can make better. So that's my like a bit of embarrassment. I only like one of my builds. I only like my daybed. I don't like anything else I made. I'm not very proud of anything else I made. And then I think, well, that's what people are going to judge me on. And then people compare everyone on the show, you know, in the hierarchy of, well, they're the best because they got. But it's not necessarily the case in real life. Like
Well,
some
that's it.
people. Some
You're not
people.
gonna spend, sorry, so you're not going to spend. So you spent 2 days on the rocking chair on the show because that's all the time you're given, and it's not even really 2 days because of all the breaks. But if you're making that in your shop, you're going to spend 4 or 5 days on that same chair, aren't you? Because it requires that amount of attention to detail to get it across the line to where you want it.
And yeah, and then it also, I mean, I was a qualified joiner at 17. Like it's so frustrating because I achieved a lot at a younger age. And I'm quite proud that, you know, there wasn't social media. There wasn't, like, I never met another woman on site. I did all of that really young. And then I'm not a furniture maker. I'm not trained that way. I don't profess to be a furniture maker. And then go on telly and everyone's, you know, ranking me and comparing me to other people, that maybe that is more their background. So I am conscious that that's how people rate you, but they don't really know. It's a funny one. I'm a bit conflicted with it.
Yeah, because so you're getting judged on a. I mean, I know full well if I spent 2 days on a rocking chair, it'd probably be a pile of scrap on the floor. There's no two ways about it.
I feel like I could spend a month on a rocking chair. You could literally spend a month. It could go on forever, couldn't it?
I think
trying to get the rock right and everything.
I think it has been said before. I can't remember. I heard someone say a chair is the hardest thing you can make because the design has got to be like classic. It's something that's going to carry weight, so it's got to take the weight of a big man, but also be delicate and beautiful. So where I spent, even running up to the show, I just didn't have time. I had such broken sleep because I had a teething baby. So it was really frustrating because it wasn't the best time of life for me in that window to have done it. But I couldn't let the opportunity go.
Mm. So obviously you say you're not a furniture maker per se. So what's your sort of favourite sort of thing you do in the woodworking world? What's your sort of preferred thing to do within the woodworking?
So when I was working, our bread and butter was like windows and fitted wardrobes. And then now and again we'd get staircases. Staircases are actually really fun to make because they're a bit different. The maths is there. It's a bit of a break from the monotony of gluing up sashes, and that would kind of be my preference in my joinery days. So because woodwork for me became really monotonous, I just kind of wood turn now. And that's where I've brought the pleasure back into it. If you have something that's your hobby and you make it your job, everyone thinks you're living the dream. But actually, sometimes you're so lucky you do something really creative. You have to do what jobs come to you. You don't go and get those lovely jobs. They're really few and far between. So I don't want to take away all that joy that I used to have with it. So now it's like I make for fun, I make for pleasure, I make for myself. I spent far too many years standing on the back of a machine, taking a piece of wood off, getting the next machine set up, standing on the back of a machine, getting a piece of wood up, gluing it up, sanding it. So I'm just bringing the joy back into it for me.
I've noticed on your socials a bit too, because you do, or you have done a little bit with a very good friend of mine also is Kate, a crafty lass, as she's known. You've done a few little bits with her recently, haven't you? Swapping blanks and
Kate's been brilliant. It's nice it's probably something, and I don't need to harp on about being a female in a male industry. It's just nice to be able to have a conversation with another woman and literally just about wood. Like we can just be like, I went to this wood yard. Well, when I'm out with say girlfriends, they couldn't give a shit. They don't have the same interests. So if you meet another female and you can be like, oh yeah, I tried this tool, it's so like you just like click. And that's what I say with some of the girls in handmade. I've never been able to have those conversations before. I've never been able to talk to someone about a Japanese saw and then and just get what you're saying. It's quite refreshing. So when you do meet someone, even like with Kate, she's more on my age as well. So, you know, it's few and far between that you meet someone that you can have those conversations. It's just lovely.
Yeah. I say she's super talented as well. She's done some pieces for me, and we're doing a few, and we will be doing collabs in the future as well. You know, yeah, she's really good, as you say.
Yeah, she's a brilliant turner. She knows her stuff.
So, what have you got any sort of like plans for upcoming projects that you're doing at the minute? You know, have you got anything that you can leak?
So after the show, I did a few commissions and then I thought, right, well, what do I want to do with this? I need to justify to my partner that I've taken our whole garage and that everything that belongs to him is slowly getting out the garage. And I need to justify the spending on the tools, the materials. So I was like, right, I need to do a market. But I didn't want to do a market to load the stock. And I don't have a lot of time because I've got, a job and then I look after the kids. It's not something I have learned this is not something you can do with your children following you around. So by the time, the thing is, my daughter is really interested and she follows me into here and she's picking up tools and I'm like, Jesus, you've got no shoes on. So like trying to like steal a little bit of time just to come and sand something is really, really difficult. And by the time you've got them to bed, I've got like a tiny window. So that's where I really struggle. So I've just booked my first market. I'm going to Liverpool. And then that's what if I just do like 4 markets a year. I'm really looking forward to getting people.
The makers you got in Liverpool. Which one?
Liverpool Docks, Albert Docks.
Oh, the one down at the docks.
Yeah. So
I'm in Liverpool. You see.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So I know I'm obviously not Northern, but I'm here. Can hear it in my accent. So I know Manchester very well. I don't know Liverpool that much.
All right.
I've only gone there to get slaughtered. so now. I just thought good place for footfall. It's got a good vibe about it. I
won't bother booking that one then because there's no point in me booking that one.
Yeah, but then
the good thing is there's actually because we went down the other month to have a look around. So it's already in town.
Yeah,
and there weren't any woodworkers markets on there at all.
Really?
No, so I was going to book one.
So I think. Well, you might have more time to do it. Also, a lot of my stuff will be turned, which I think is very niche. And I think the problem with what people think with Instagram and social media, we are not selling to each other. Like I am not getting on Instagram, getting lots of followers that are into wood. Everyone follows each other because it's good ideas. I'm not going to sell to these people because they think I'll make that myself and it won't cost me anything. It's a really funny one because I like off the back of the Makers Centre in Birmingham. That is brilliant for people selling tools or materials. That's got to be one of the worst places to try and sell your product. So I think you got to think about who your market is and where it's worth spending your time.
Yeah, I noticed that with something that we've spoke about on Instagram, especially. The Instagram is business to business. It's not about, as you say. I mean, I've, you do meet people, and I have bought items off other makers off Instagram for presents for Christmas and stuff last year. But as you say, I'm not going to go on there and commission a sideboard off someone because I'll make it myself because that's what I do. And it is very much, and that's why I use Instagram for the content creation side because. It isn't. You're not going to sell there, are you, at all? It's like as you say.
I think some people think it's brilliant, and I think you've just got to be really analytical. I think it is. I mean, for me, when I first picked up turning, I had one day's tuition literally when I was about 19. I'm now in my 30s. I can't remember it all. So I've got myself into a rut where I'm maybe a bit self-taught. So it's been brilliant with a lathe. I sometimes think, how on earth have they made that? Because it looks like it's not been attached. So you've got to think. So it's been good for me just to figure stuff out, because my training is a flat bit of wood that's clamped in somewhere, run through it. Like, I know what I'm doing with joinery, whereas with turning, I've got to think about it completely different. So it's been really good for that. But then I just think you can put a lot of energy into it. What you get out of it sometimes, and then sometimes I just think, I need a break from here because I'm comparing myself to other people and thinking, they're doing better than me. So I think it can be a really negative place for me, and then I think, like, when I've had a reel that's done really well, like checking it, seeing, like, this is not good.
We're all guilty. I mean, I'm absolutely guilty of the rat race of content and social media for sure. Getting heavily by the analytics, and as you say, I mean, it's all very well and good. I mean, someone like me get a brand deal. It's fine because then someone will necessarily buy the glues or product that I'm using, because it's other woodworkers will buy that product.
Yeah.
As you say, I mean, I don't know. A few years ago, I did definitely get some joinery jobs, like fitted furniture jobs, through Instagram. But I would say the last 2 years, it's definitely business to business, 100%. I thought Josh was going to say something. Sorry. Then
I was going to, because you've just posted a recent YouTube video, and I've been checking the views over the last couple of hours, and I was thinking, why has that not got more views? But it's with search engine optimization with YouTube, it's like, it's.
Do you have, like, if I have something ready to go out, I think, well, I won't post it now because it will fall on. Like, do you have times where? So my reels, I just do them on Sunday afternoons, and I thought, it seemed to have done okay, and then I just leave it at that. Are there like times where you just won't post it because you think, well, it's not going to go anywhere?
Yeah, there's a lot of social. I mean, especially with YouTube, because there's a new thing now where there's a 6-hour slump. So basically, for the first 6 hours, YouTube do not push that video out at all. It just goes, it trickles. Guarantee at 6 hours, it jumps up.
Okay.
I know there's that there. YouTube says it doesn't exist, but I'm part of a YouTube creator program in the UK. And there's about 100 of us all saying this is what's happening. We're telling YouTube that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So they are starting to listen because they've put it in the algorithm and they do things. So, like, I know. So if you think about it, generally YouTube Shorts get viewed more at lunchtime.
Okay.
So I'll have the 6 hour, so it finishes at lunchtime. So it gets pushed at lunchtime when there's more views. Because the more views it then gets in that first 30 minutes, it then gets reached out. Same with Instagram. You want to be looking at sort of about 7 a.m. in the morning if you're on a weekday. Weekends, there's no point posting on a Friday night because everyone's just having a beer.
Yeah.
They just get a load of shit. So generally Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons get the best because people are going to be sat, as a rule, they're sat down on the couch. So if I've got to do a certain piece of content to go alongside a brand that I'm working with, that'll go out at a weekend because it'll get more coverage at a weekend. Because think about it, when are people going to be on the phone looking at it? It's when they're sat down, the kids are playing or whatever, and they're doing that on the phone. So that's when you're going to get more views. And the more views you get, the more it gets pushed out.
And so if you've spent lots of time doing something, you don't want to waste it. So you just want to hold on because you think, I've put lots of effort into this.
But it is. It's
my,
always
my time's 8 o'clock at night. 8 o'clock in the evening is usually when I post. That's what I've usually stick to, pretty much.
But again, that can be content because obviously you're the side of the world. it's all about time zones and stuff as well, isn't it?
Mm.
About
Yeah.
when people are going to
Well,
away your audiences.
Yeah, Instagram is geo-focused, so it's focused on the country you're in.
Okay.
So yeah, whatever best time in the UK is. When does everyone sit down and have a cup of tea?
Also, all the things that I've posted that have done really well have been like where I've taken a rusty tool and tidied it up. But that's not really what I do. So I'm like, oh, I've had like 15,000 views on tidying up this rusty plane, but I don't have a box of rusty planes to sort out, so that's not happening again.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking about small little reels. I'll do like a quick reel of, say, me making something, which it's taking me a day to make. I'll do a very quick reel, 10, 15 seconds. I'll spend an hour or so editing it all out to make it look decent. As you say, it'll do shit. Yet, I had a silicone brush stuck down with some tight bond on a bit of wood, and I peeled it up to make the noise. It got 5.6 million views. It took me 3 seconds to make it.
Because people just love the sound.
They just love that. So I don't think, to a point...
You should just be making nice sounds. You should give up the joinery and just in there, peeling things to a mic.
I mean, I know I want to make a living from like content curation and stuff these days now, but I don't think that's really the way I want to go with making sounds as my niche.
I think you should also, if you enjoy doing it, carry on doing it. But for me, it's like I just think, oh, maybe I just need to stop because time's precious. I need to stop posting, actually just make some stuff. Because then I started to, when I'm filming on the lathe, I'm constantly having to stop but actually I should be concentrating on what I'm trying to do. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just stop and then just post something of me putting the oil on afterwards, because I think it's like that checking in with yourself. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing this for? Is it a distraction? What am I gaining from it? I'm like, actually, I've not gained anything till I get down that market in Liverpool and get some money. Because other than it's just me paying for myself to just fill my house with trinkets.
Yeah, because we were talking to David the other week. David's wood turning. He's a good friend of mine as well. And like he was saying, because he does a lot of YouTube, he does very, very well on YouTube. But as he says, as you're turning something, you have to move the camera every couple of minutes. And as you've got a great big skew chisel or something into the lathe, it's not really safe to be constantly moving around with the chisel.
I think with turning, you really block that camera in, because you start in one position and then you end up all the way over the other side. So, and people like to see the camera move. And I think I could have done that half an hour quicker had I not been thinking so it's a funny one, but like if you follow like Dave Dolby and I think it's Steve the Woodturner, their videos are amazing. Like the stuff they can do, they can just it is fascinating to watch. But if you're not there yet, maybe just knock the camera on the head.
Are you going to try going full time later on, like down the line? Do you think?
It's a really difficult one for me to think about going full time, because I'm not in the position I was years ago. So I did professionally work as a joiner for years. I didn't have any responsibilities then. I didn't have a mortgage and I didn't have children, which I do now. So, it's a shame, because also, would I find someone willing to let me work school hours? Or I don't think it really is. It's not really a job where we'd fill up the van, we'd go on site and we'd fit. I couldn't, by the time I got to Saturday, I've got to finish at 2 because I've got to get back to pick up the kids. It's a really, really difficult one. And I've not found a solution for it. I'm not saying there isn't a solution for it, but I just kind of look at it as like I've decided in life, family's more important to me. So unfortunately, I've just had it was my passion. It's all I ever wanted to do since I was younger. But the family comes first. So God knows.
Later on down the line, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And what kind of made it difficult for me when I came out of joinery was off the back of the recession, and that I kind of looked at it. Joinery to me seems like something that you pay someone to do when the financial climate is good. And then I saw it go from we had so much work, we were turning it away left, right, and centre, to us really struggling for work. Within about 12 months, we were doing really, really good, and then we were having to get up about 5 a.m. to drive to London because we could then only get work in London. So
that sounds very familiar of that nowadays.
So I like, and that's the thing, like we're back there again. And I think it goes up and down, and it was not a nice place to be. And to see someone really stressed about where money's going to come from, cash flow, like I don't want that level of responsibility. So I don't want to put myself in that position.
That is a very good point. Joinery is something that, when the economy is good, everyone's happy to pay for it because they got plenty of money. But when it is tight, it probably trade that does struggle.
It's because it's also become so niche, and that is off the back of things like windows. People haven't got the money to get timber windows made anymore, and that is the bulk of modern joinery. So, like with the evolution of it, sometimes I think, oh my God, why did I pick this trade? Sometimes I think I should have picked a different trade. I didn't really have any advice when I was 16. It was just like, you can be a bench joiner or you can go and do site carpentry. Well, I wasn't going to put myself in that position. So it was like, that was my only option was that at that time. And then I think, oh, if I'd have done plumbing or electrics, but then it's like, the reason we have possibly picked what we do is because it's a nice finish. Like I'm assuming with plumbing or electrics, you can do a great job, but with wood, it's like instant, like, oh, that looks really, really nice. And that's where the satisfaction comes from. That's why people are drawn to it. So sometimes I really regret maybe I picked the wrong trade, but then.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because I mean, as you say, if you've turned a nice vase or something, you get the instant gratification of that's a nice vase. I don't go, oh fuck, look how nice that light switch is. Do you know what I mean?
Look how nice he's plumbed that toilet. That is a good toilet. Yeah?
It works.
It's like a thankless job. If it's a really well done electrics and no one's going to electrocute themselves, brilliant. But no one's ever going to come and thank you for that or compliment you on it. And that's why I probably went into it, because as a child, when someone says, "Oh, you've done that and that's amazing. I don't know how you've done it," that praise is why I've gone down that route. And yeah, no one can see that your pipes are very well laid under the floorboards.
Right. I think we'll call that the end of this episode. As normal, please leave us a review. Once we get to 500 reviews, we will have a nice Wilbard giveaway. I shall also leave all of Ashley's links in the description / comments down below. If you do want to buy a vase off it, you can go and visit it at the docks as well next month. And thank you all. Any questions, you can get in contact with us on the Woodwork page. Also, any of our own social media pages. So, thank you very much, Ashley, for joining us today on this Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to me waffle on.
Okay, take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.